Hello and welcome to another episode of the Modern Day Dojo. Man, this episode is one that I've been looking forward to doing because it is, I think, it's a little controversial in the martial arts industry here. And it has everything to do with contracts. So today we're going to be breaking down, should you be doing contracts? Is contracts actually commitment? And we're going to take a look at how it was started. But let me just say, in my opinion, if you are needing a 12-month contract to keep your students, you don't have a retention strategy, you have a hostage situation. And me personally, my opinion only is that contracts, I think, do more harm than they're actually doing good. Now, as an industry, I think we can paint them as something good, but really, when we look at how we're using them, I really think that it leaves a lot to be desired, and I think puts us in a very negative position. But to understand that negative position, we really have to kind of look at where contracts started. Where did we get them from? When? In martial arts, the industry really started to take off back in the mid 80s. Now, during this time, Karate Kid came out and it started attracting a lot of kids, a lot of youth to martial arts. Parents saw this, they saw Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san and saw a child that was out of place and that found themselves and something to belong to within the martial arts. Daniel gained a lot of confidence, a lot of self-respect, learned how to respect, and became successful through the martial arts. The lessons that were taught were deeper than just a kick and a punch. And I think it was really a masterpiece in educating people that there is lifelong value inside of the martial arts other than just learning how to defend yourself against a kick or a punch. Because of this, parents really, in droves, started bringing their kids to martial arts gyms. Now, these gym owners at the time were passionate. They loved the martial arts. And they made up for their lack of business prowess with their passion of the martial arts. They would really attract people based on their love. And they know how the martial arts can help. Their passion for the arts to teach, like Mr. Miyagi, would be infectious and people would want to be part of that. Well, at the same time, having these waves of children coming into the martial arts industry also ignited an interest from smart business owners. They would see that martial arts gyms have a real business value, that they can have lasting reoccurring revenue monthly, month over month, by charging tuition. And you can do this on scale. However, because of this, you get a lot of people in here that are really smart in the business, but maybe lack some of that passion that some of the original gym owners in the United States really had. And because of this, you get more focus on the business strategy and growth, which, to give it credit, has helped grow the martial arts industry to where it is today. Because I think without running your business like a business, you run the risk of fading out, because you have to have some business knowledge to be able to be successful in today's market, right? So they did a great value. However, I think they took some things from other industries that were also extremely successful at the time, such as the fitness industry, and took some of those practices like contracts and employed them into the martial arts to fix a problem. The problem was that if you know children, their minds shift on a day-to-day basis, and one day they may like something and the next they may not. Understanding the training that we had back in the early 80s, 90s, is that the training wasn't as playful as it was today. And therefore the kids would come in thinking one thing, watching the movie Karate Kid, and being presented with actual hard work, because martial arts is hard work, and their immediate response is to quit. So the industry adopted from the fitness industry contracts. And this is where we started employing contracts to keep children in martial arts. One, to help them stay committed to their goals. And two, to ensure a solid revenue stream. Because let's face it, if you're running a business, you have 30 kids come in, they like it, they have fun, they pay you, and the next month it's really hard because, that's what it was. And you have 30 kids want to quit. It's a very difficult way to sustain a long-term business. So yes, I agree that contracts maybe on the surface may be smart for the business. However, I really don't think they're smart for the practitioner. They're smart for the child. Leaning on contracts to be able to sustain revenue is, I think, in my opinion, it is not the smart move. It is not the long play, because although it may help you on a month-to-month basis, it harms you in many other ways. Martial artists, we started getting a little bit wise to this. So we kind of disguised the contracts a little bit and tied them to goals or privileges, such as Black Belt Club. I think if you've been in the martial arts industry for any term, any long term, you've owned a school for any long period of time, you have heard the Black Belt Club. A Black Belt Club is a way to get students to dedicate themselves to earning a black belt. This is great. This is fantastic. You would have students that were there for 3 months, and you would sign them up for a 3-year contract, 4-year contract. And it would typically come with a down payment that would get them another flashy uniform and some other cool things, an extra class a week, something, whatever. But you would get a bump in tuition as well as a long-term agreement, which was great. Typically, these contracts would have certain things on it, like a buyout, or they would have a clause in there where it was, if you defaulted on this, you would be sent to collections. And this is bad. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I understand getting students to learn to focus on the long term, but forcing them into a contract, in my opinion, is not a good way, one, to build that know-like trust as a business, but also to really get them to succeed. We came up with other flashy names: Storm Team, SWAT Team, Super Winning Attitude Team, leadership programs. All these things have great face value, but most of them came with a long-term contract that would secure revenue for 12 months, 24, 36 months. And I don't think that was really what serves our students. With these contracts, I think the fitness industry uses it in a way, and I was... many moons ago, I was in a seminar type thing where you go and you learn from a whole bunch of really amazing martial arts business owners. And this was a very long time ago. And they were talking about value stacking, but not in the way where it was a service that we give, but value stacking as in terms of contract stacking. So if you can imagine a gym owner frustrated with losing money because people are quitting, being told to sign people up in a long-term agreement, because what would happen, we know inevitably that 3 to 6 months down the road, they're going to quit. They're going to lose interest. They're going to quit. Now, instead of us improving our service, the focus was, the easy Band-Aid was to, just have them sign an agreement, a contract that would guarantee 12 months of tuition, because, hey, we have 12 months of bills that we have to pay. We're just asking you to do the same thing. We can put lipstick on a pig any way you want. It's still going to stink. So we were just convincing ourselves that, yes, this is the way to go. Well, contract stacking is that if I know that this student is going to quit 3 months, 6 months down the road, I'm going to get another student to come in and fill that same space and sign another 12-month contract. So in doing this, I'm still collecting on the kid that quit, and collecting money on the new child as well. And they would do that as many times as needed for them to maintain a healthy revenue stream of contract value or contract value stacking. I am a really big, I'm just going to call that for what it is. It's horrible. And I still know some gym owners that are still doing that same practice today. And I challenge you to really look at not only the moral aspect of that, but are you really providing a service, or are you just locking somebody into a commitment and tricking them into paying tuition, that paying for something that they are not receiving anymore, paying for a service that they are no longer receiving or no longer want to receive? And we'll get into the reasons why later on in this episode. But it is something I really want you to sit down and think about and consider. I don't have all the answers. I don't know everything. I just know what has worked for me. And I know that contracts in my gyms are something that I do not do. It goes against one of my core values as an individual, as well as a business. Another way that we, as an industry, have used contracts or gotten people to commit to these contracts is by offering discounts. I know you've seen it before and you've heard it, where it's sign up. Hey, and if you sign up to a long-term contract, if you sign up to a 12-month contract, we're going to offer you X amount off, X percentage off per month, or a dollar amount off per month, $20 off a month, as incentive for signing a contract. Now we could say, well, it's because we don't have to have the administrative fees and being able to collect on a month-to-month agreement. But really, we all know that that's a bunch of hogwashers, right? So that's a non-starter, honestly. It takes the same amount of energy to collect on a contract as it does a month-to-month. And that's just another way that we convince people to do it, because once they sign that agreement, knowingly or unknowingly to the gym owner, you are then starting that contract stacking cycle, which most students will end up quitting over the course of that year. We hope not, but if they do, you sign somebody up on that spot and you're now stacking value. And that's, again, I don't think that's a good way to do business. It's just me personally, just saying. All right. So the problem with the discounts, though, is that it sounds good on the surface. It sounds great, but herein lies one of the problems that I have with contracts itself, especially discounting, is that you really start devaluing your program. Let's think about it. If you were presented, your program is this much, but if you sign a contract, I'll knock off $20 a month. Well, then why wouldn't I just knock off $20 a month to begin with? If that's what I feel my program is worth, it becomes an obvious move that is devaluing your program just to get a signature on a line. You're telling the market this isn't worth full price unless you're locked in, and that's not something that I think is good. And I think it ultimately hurts you as a gym owner, as a business owner, as a respectable business owner, to be able to say this is what my program is valued at. We provide this service. We're valued here. If your services are truly premium, you don't need to discount it just to get somebody locked in. And I really want you to think about that. If you are providing a premium service to somebody, there is not a discount just so you can sign up on a long-term agreement. It makes you sound desperate. Your value doesn't need a trinket. So you don't need to have an incentive if you are providing really good value. So remember that. Think about that anytime, for all your discounts. We'll do another episode on discounts itself, but for contracts, there is, in my opinion, no need to discount if you consider that you're still going to do discounts. I think there's hidden issues with contracts as well. So first of all, The problem that I see with a contract is that if people default on it or quit, are you really going to send them to collections? What is your buyout process? Do you charge them automatically? What type of hardship are you putting the parent in if you're doing that? If you're just going to cash out on a contract without consent, is that even legal? Do you know the laws in your area to make sure that you're following through on that? Are you in compliance with? There's a lot of things that go along. As a matter of fact, most states, if I'm not mistaken, most states don't even allow collections on or contracts on services not yet rendered. And you cannot collect money on a service that you have not given. So I think that you really need to check with your lawyers, before you even start to even think about doing contracts. You want to make sure you're in compliance with. But the collections of a contract is a very difficult thing to go through. Not to mention, do you want to have that as an added thing that you have to deal with as a gym owner? That's a lot. It's a headache. And not to mention, I mean, if you are collecting on somebody, if you're going through and chasing after them, what type of reputation are you going to be building? We search as gym owners, we seek the reviews, the positive reviews from our clients. And we know how difficult it is to get a positive review from somebody without having to bribe them, right? But can you imagine how fast poor reviews will start pouring in if you start putting people through collections or start hounding them to pay off their contract they haven't been, or even worse, continue to charge somebody month over month over month over month, and they haven't even been to a single class? Think about it, right? Those bad reviews are going to cost you way more than the value of that contract and the value of services that you have not yet given. So think about that, the follow through of collecting on those. I think the awkwardness and the expense of going through that collection, I think, hurts your brand. And if you are dedicated to serving your community, you should be talking about service. You should be talking about making sure that you're providing an outstanding service, helping people accomplish their goals. And if that message is then confused with having contracts and people getting upset at you for coming after them because of a contract, then I think that undercuts the value that you are trying to put out there. So, and if you're not even going to collect on it, I know so many martial arts gyms that have contracts but do not collect on them. They do not go through with it. And if you're not going to go through with it, then why have a contract to begin with? Just questions to ponder, right? So another thing I want to go over is the moral question of having a contract for kids. I mean, please don't take offense. I don't say the individual is morally questionable. I think what it is just a lack of understanding of what it is that we're doing. And it's a fear. When it all boils down to it, I believe it's a fear of losing students or not being able to keep students or not being fully confident in your ability and your program to maintain the service that's needed to keep your students. So I'm not saying that the gym owner is morally questionable. The act of the contract itself, especially to kids, is it morally questionable? Is it ethical to sign a 5-year-old up to a 1 to 3 year contract? I mean, early childhood development proves that children of that age group need to be experiencing multiple things for their development. But as a business, we want to lock them into a 3-year contract, a 1-year contract, because it helps us even out our revenue stream. And it's not developmentally sound for a child. So we really have to look at what we're doing if it's even in the child's best interest. If the child loses interest or something happens with the family, life happens, they move, whatever. Carrying through on a contract is something that I think is way damaging, and it's going to cost you more in the long run. You're forcing a commitment before trust is even earned, and that ultimately will hurt your brand. So, but the big thing that I think contracts do is they alleviate any obligation from the instructor to actually carry through on quality service. It's kind of like if I am a student, or if I'm a potential student, a potential client, I'm in a trial phase and I'm being serviced. They're letting me know all the things that we're going to get, all the things we're going to do. We sign a contract. I'm starting as a student. And a month or two into it, I noticed that just kind of like I'm no longer having that attention anymore. I'm no longer getting the service that I was getting as a trial. And we see this constantly. This is why students will quit between that 3-month, 6-month, 9-month. That's an extremely important phase. That first year, really getting them involved into the benefits of martial arts, really showing them that the benefits of consistent training. However, when a contract is involved, we see it in lots of schools, lots of gyms, that their attrition rate within the first year of students is abnormally higher. And maybe it's not a reason that the instructor is deliberately not focused or paying attention or delivering on the services that they're promising. Maybe it's inadvertent. Because I would hate anybody to look at me and say, well, you're deliberately trying to hurt your students. You're just chasing the dollar. And it's not the case. I think as a business owner, we have to focus on keeping doors open, lots of things that are taking our attention. But when we have a contract that gives us a buffer, well, they have to pay now. And I need to focus on getting more students. I need to focus on getting our marketing out there. But here's the thing. If you are a committed instructor, if your coaching is on point and your curriculum is developing students into becoming the best versions of themselves, if you are providing a service that is impactful, as much impactful off the mats as it is on the mats, then you are going to have a longer buy-in from your students. Your athletes will continue to stay month over month, year over year, because you continue to deliver on the promises that you have made, not because you have forced them into a contract. I think when you have contracts, we focus on getting that trial to commit, and once they commit, we focus on the other trials that need to get to commit, because the document has already been signed, and students become just another line on a ledger. And that's, I think, not intentional. I think it's just survival for gym owners. And instead of focusing on the things that are really going to help your gym grow, that are going to help your gym provide a better service, to really take an introspective look at yourself as a coach, and how do I build skills? How do I get education to make me better, so I am better prepared to help deliver on the promises that I'm making to these students? I think you instead of doing that, you rely too much on the contract weight. And you end up relying too much on that. And it's damaging to your school and the industry as well. The student's experience starts after they enroll. So we need to make sure that we are focusing on their experience throughout the process. And that's where your focus should be, is on their experience, not on did they sign the contract. Because I think when you do it right, they really they respond well, right? So I guess the question is, what should you be doing? If you are running a gym and you have contracts right now, what should you do? First of all, I would say, are you following through in the contracts? Or is this just another barrier? And think about it too. If it's kind of a friction point for some people. When we started our gym, Family First Martial Arts in Middle Tennessee, I called around like most gyms do, talked to different school owners, and all of them did contracts. It was a normal thing, contracts. So I decided to not do contracts. And when I did that, I got a lot of people coming in. Oh, you don't do contracts? Great. I want to come in. And we ended up growing pretty fast because of that. We had many people tell us horror stories of some of the other gyms in the area that had contracts and were coming after them and have been charging them for months. And, honestly, I can understand their frustration. Listening to it from their side really creates some clarity. And it was a pain for families that I never wanted our school to be a part of. I never wanted our gym to be the place that was responsible for creating hardships on families. I mean, that makes no sense. I mean, our school is called Family First Martial Arts, and we're creating friction for parents. So if you are not collecting on contracts, maybe you shouldn't have them. I mean, you are creating an extra friction point that could be drawing people to you out of contrast of what other gyms in your area are doing. What we do is we just do month-to-month memberships. It's a monthly tuition. Now, yes, I guess this could be considered as well, you just have a 30-day contract. Yes, we do. But we also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So I make it really easy. I try to eliminate as many of the friction points, especially the friction points that are set up from other martial arts gyms in the area that have created a sour taste in the mouths of the people that are now coming to my gym. I want to eliminate as many of those concerns as possible. Do we have contracts? No, we have a month-to-month agreement. We just ask for a 30-day notice of cancellation. That's it. And a lot of them are completely okay with that. And I say if there's an issue with that, we also have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can try out our gym, do a long test drive. If for any reason that you are unhappy, let us know, and we will gladly, without question, refund 100% of the money that you put into our program. So that is a barrier that they no longer have to bear. They don't have to go through that friction of signing up. They can have complete comfort in knowing that, listen, I'm going to try this out, and if my child is not happy with it, or I'm not happy with the instruction, then I can get 100% of my money back. I don't put any restrictions on it or anything. And how many people have I had over the last, since we started in 2010, over the last 16 or 15 years? No one. I've had nobody ask for their money back. So it is an easy way for us to provide a good service. And I'm sorry, it says for a business owner to say, I'm going to give you 100% of your money back. No questions asked if you are unhappy at all for any reason with our services. I mean, that takes a lot of confidence in our program to be able to say that. I know that once you're in here on our floors, on our mats, working hard, experiencing the practice with all the other athletes, with the coaches, you're getting poured into with all the love and attention and focus that we are driven to make you better. I know that at the end of that 30 days, you're going to be grateful to be part of our family and not resentful that you signed a contract. And that's where I think everybody's goals should be as a gym, especially if you're working primarily with children. We have to re-earn everybody's trust every 30 days. If we treated every student on our floors like they were in a trial program, because they are. Let me put it this way. You are, as the gym owner, you are on trial every single month. Your job is to pour into your students on a monthly basis, daily basis, and make sure that you are delivering on the promises that you are keeping. And when you do that, you earn their business. You earn that tuition. That's what I believe our focus needs to turn into. If you are doing month-to-months, outstanding. Congratulations. You are outstanding. And I believe that that is the way to go. I think that if you are doing that, your focus is on being present, on making sure that you are providing a good service to the students and contributing to a healthy parent experience as well. If you are struggling and your attrition is still high, then focus on your service. Focus on the client experience from the trial to enrollment to 60, 90. Start tracking those stats of when people are leaving and start making adjustments. Maybe it's a key point in your curriculum that's just not catching. Maybe it's a failure in your ability to articulate what it is that you do and the values that you provide. All of those things are needed to be able to consistently provide a high quality experience for your students. You have to develop, leadership and retention systems that work with no pressure, no tricks, just plain service. And when you do this, you're going to notice a couple of things. You're going to notice that your retention will be higher. You're going to notice more referrals, because if you are providing a service with no strings attached, our relationship with our students is no longer transactional. Yes, we have tuition. We have bills to pay. We're providing a good service. Yes, that is the transaction. But the relationship that we build between coach and athlete is something that is more than just a signature on a contract. It is something that is built on trust, that we are there to help. And when we do that, people are going to feel connected to us. They're going to know us. They're going to like us. They're going to trust us, and they're going to refer their friends to us. So you get an easier buy-in for referrals. The referrals will just pour in because you're providing an amazing service. And one of the strongest things that you build when offering a service like this month to month without the friction of a contract, probably my favorite, is that you build a stronger reputation. You no longer have to worry about getting those poor reviews, those 1-star reviews on Google or Yelp, because you charged somebody for 6 months after they left. That's not a good way for you to build your reputation if you were holding people to contracts that don't want to be there anymore. And maybe they're just too polite and kind to tell you that your classes stink and we don't want them. We're better off doing baseball, soccer, football, dance, basket weaving. They're better off doing something else. They are not connected to you. They were tricked by a $20 discount into signing a 12-month contract. And now little Johnny wants to do something else. My thing is I don't want to have people in my gym who do not want to be there, who are not bought into the culture, who are not bought into the experience that we're providing our athletes on a daily basis. So don't damage your reputation by enforcing hypothetical contracts that you're not even going to follow through on anyways. And start helping the martial arts industry build a solid reputation on service. Consistently working on your curriculum to develop it in a way that is providing an amazing service towards your clients. If you could do this, if you work on this, I promise you, your numbers will improve. And you're going to feel great about yourself too, because knowing that you don't have to force anybody to be there, that everybody in your gym is there because they want to be, because they're excited to be part of your program. They love your direction. They love your vision. And that is, I think, carries more weight than any contract stacking will ever provide. So look at contracts. If you are doing them, ask yourself, if I stop doing contracts tomorrow, would my students still stay? And if that question makes you uncomfortable, good. It should make you uncomfortable, because it means that now you know where you need to improve. Now you know where you have to start focusing your attention, so that way you can improve your program and then keep people there without having to trick them into signing a contract. And that's the key thing. When you know what you need to fix, you know where you need to start. You know what you need to improve, because this business, this journey as a martial artist is always about constant and never-ending improvement. It's a great way for you to grow your gym and provide the service that your students deserve and the legacy that your gym deserves. So, super excited for you to sit down and look at that, start a conversation. If you disagree with me, if you're just like, Larry, you are insane, you're crazy, I can't believe you're still in business because you're not doing contracts, please, hey, get into the group, get onto the page and start letting us know, hey, I disagree with you and here's why. Because I want to have good conversation. I want conversation that's going to help promote and grow the martial arts industry forward. So the more we can do that now, the more that we can learn and grow from each other. And if you have a reason why you do a contract that is sound, then I want to hear about it, because maybe I'm missing something. Like I said, I do not have all the answers. I don't. But I sure am passionate about doing the right thing and providing outstanding service to the people in my community. And I hope, you know what, I know you are too. Know it. So jump into the community, keep on doing the good work, keep on providing outstanding service to your clients. Let's grow this martial arts industry, an industry that we all love so deeply. And I'm going to see you all in the next episode of the Modern Day Dojo Podcast. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next time.